Alice and I are always looking to be more healthy, and we were just talking about how fasting is one of the best ways to do that, but it's so hard. But the great thing about Prolon is that's not what you're doing. It's not that you're not eating for 5 days. Instead, you're using their science-backed program to convince your body you're fasting.
You guys, this 5-day program really is amazing. It comes beautifully packaged and it does all the thinking for you. Each day is its own box. And by following their program, I know I just feel so much better. And I can't wait to experience Prolong Next Gen and continue to see results. For a limited time, you can be first in line to experience the new Next Gen at special savings. Prolong is offering the Prosecutors listeners 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just visit prolonlife.com/prosecutors. That's PROLONLIFE.com/prosecutors to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/prosecutors.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Alice.
And we are the Prosecutors. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this live Patreon episode of The Prosecutors. I'm Brett, and I'm joined, as always, with my telegenic co-host, Alice.
Hi, Brett. It's weird to see your face while you introduce me with different words.
I know. You can tell. This way you can see me when I say it, so you know I'm being serious. I'm not rolling my eyes the whole time.
Were you rolling your eyes the other 100 episodes?
I'm not, no comment.
I'm reevaluating our friendship.
I'm invoking the Fifth Amendment.
Guys, grab some spots. They're open. This is for you guys. The last Get Vokl was open to everybody. So it was super fun, but also a little unwieldy in terms of who could grab spots. So thank you guys for showing up. I cannot believe how many people are here.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Let us see your faces. We're showing you ours.
Our last Get Vokl, the public Get Vokl, we were celebrating 1 million downloads, and now Sunday actually was our 1-year anniversary of releasing our first episode of the podcast. So in addition to everything else we're talking about tonight, we're also celebrating our 1-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Brett.
Happy anniversary, Alice. That's what she said to me. I went over to her house that day, and as I walked in with my wife and child, she's like, "Happy anniversary." I think her husband was.
And what did I give you? What did I give you as an anniversary present? That's the important part.
She gave me some Mardi Gras beads with a Krispy Kreme logo on it.
It was a peace offering.
It was. I would have preferred Krispy Kreme donuts, but
I'm trying to help your keto diet.
Exactly. Well, hello everybody. Welcome. This is wide open as always for whatever you guys want to talk about. Though, like I said, we've been doing this a year. We're going to do it, for however long we last. And we want to hear what cases you guys want us to cover in the next calendar year as we are, moving forward. We always need new ideas. So, be brave, grab a spot. Everybody's being shy today.
I know.
Usually people are just like all over these spots.
I'm just going to throw some case ideas out there for you guys to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, I also about Chauvin.
As usual, I do have, I've got questions and comments in case people are being shy.
I have endless personal questions for Brett.
And Alice has endless personal questions for Brett. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw one of these out there. And, while you guys are working up the courage to join us or to ask a question in the chat room, that's fine as well. So we got an email that says, so impressed with your episodes on the Delphi murders. I thought your points about the girls fighting back and running and ruining his initial plan was a good one. It got me thinking, if Bridge Guy is a serial killer, I agree he is. That fact would be one of the reasons the police and FBI haven't connected this with an established pattern. If he had to improvise because of the fierceness of these girls, that would mean this killing might not match his normal MO, making it that much harder to catch him. Just my 2 cents. Number one, prosecutee. So I think that's a really good point, actually. Somebody asked today, we're in the middle of the Evansdale murders. We just released the first episode of that publicly, at least on Tuesday, though you guys have had access to both of them. And somebody asked, if the two are connected, wouldn't the police know? Because the police would see some similarities in, the way the people were murdered or the signatures or whatnot. But if it's true that the girls at Delphi fought back or ran or ruined his plan, then it might not necessarily be true that you would see those connections, given that it appears in Evansdale, at least, whoever took those girls was able to, whatever their plan was, they were able to effectuate it. What do you think about that, Alice? Do you just agree with me completely?
No. I mean, you guys have all heard both episodes of Evansdale, so you know where we come out in terms of the relationship between the two cases, Delphi and Evansdale. But I also think just the way the murders were, the abductions and the murders were carried out lead me to think that they are not related. And unfortunately, as we said in the episode, there are a lot of people who do this out there. We see it in our jobs every day, unfortunately. There are a lot more child abductors and people who want to take advantage of small girls and boys, but unfortunately, a lot of the victims are young girls, more so than I think any of us would like to believe.
Yeah. I mean, if you go on the Delphi Facebook page, it's like every day somebody's posting another story about somebody who got arrested, either attempting to kidnap a girl or, was arrested for molesting a girl or boy. And unfortunately, it is just so common. And I did not realize that until I started working in the law. Like I knew that there were sexual predators out there. I knew there were child pornographers. I knew there were people who targeted kids, but until I started working in this business, I did not know just how widespread that was. I was really shocked, honestly. Was really shocked by it, number one, by the number and by the types of people that you see engaged in this kind of behavior. It's not just the creepy guy with the van or whatever, that says free candy on the side of it. Were it that, because that would make it a lot easier, right? I mean, that would make it a lot easier to protect our kids and to find these people. But in reality, it's your next door neighbor. And as in the this guy who was arrested, who may or may not, depending, be a suspect in the Delphi case. I mean, that was their next door neighbor. I'm sure they had no idea that they were living next to somebody who could do something like that. And I mean, I don't want to be like super scary and freak everybody out, but there are a lot of people out there. And that's why I'm always cautious whenever we see these new quote unquote suspects appear, to give too much credence to it.
Magic Royal. Welcome. Oh no, I scared him. I'm so sorry. I did not mean to call you out.
Scared him away, Alice.
I scared him away. But there's been some really good questions.
I just want to point out what Shannon's saying, because I had not seen that and found that to be really interesting. Science via genetic DNA solved cases are telling us that there are more one-time killers that kill strangers than we thought. That's interesting, because that does surprise me, actually. And if that's true, it makes it even harder to solve these cases.
Right. And something that we've mentioned time and time again before is it's actually very difficult to murder someone, to actually go through all the steps. So I think for every one murder that someone does, even if that person is a one-time killer, they may have tried multiple times, backed out last minute, met with a little bit of resistance, right? This is kind of like the dog theory. Burglars bypass houses that have dogs barking, no matter how big the dog, because they just don't want any trouble. So even if they're walking behind a girl and that girl kind of just glances back, maybe that's enough to scare them off and be like, yeah, I'm not gonna go with this. And so even if it's that one-time killer, I don't think, based on the profiles we have seen in our defendants, that it's a one-time attempt. And it depends, the attempt can be like just it's in their mind and they've taken no outward steps towards it, but they've planned the whole thing. They've written out everything. They dream about it, what have you. And then when someone actually carries out a murder, the human body is actually meant to be resilient. I know, a bullet can end a life, of course, but generally, especially when it comes to hands, knives, the human body is actually very resilient. It's not easy to end someone's life. It's not easy to choke someone to death. It is not easy even to stab someone to death. And murders are messy. And going through the struggle of the murder, when it's not just in your mind, is a lot more. And so I don't know what are in these killers' minds, but to carry out multiple murders is actually quite difficult, because it's one thing to fantasize about them. It's a whole nother thing to go through the struggle with another human being who's fighting for their life. Sorry, that was really dark. This is almost as dark as Brett's tutorial on how to axe someone to death.
Yeah, but I did it with a smile, right? I think that makes it less dark. Shannon, I am drinking Four Roses, small batch bourbon tonight. Excellent. I'm drinking a toast to my lost Bitcoin profits. So,
wow, didn't it drop 20% today?
Oh, I wish. Did
it drop even more?
That plan to quit the job and just do a podcast full time is really taking a hit. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Whatever. What goes down must go up, right? I think that's what they say.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure what goes up must come down. I think you have it flipped, sir. Tegan, how are those cheer workouts going?
Yes.
Going well?
Yeah.
They're going well?
No, I'm so glad that we're like the break.
Yes.
Yes. They are going.
They're going fine. I have a question. I had to prepare this time. I feel like every time I just like.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just glad you grabbed a spot. You're the first brave soul to do so.
Thank you. So I don't know if you guys saw on the news recently, but it was like a young girl. I think she was like 13. She was like a cheerleader, and she was murdered. But I guess the offender was another minor. And we've seen a lot of stuff about him, even though he's only 14. Is it like normal for crimes that minors have committed against other minors to be so publicized?
Are you talking about the Florida case?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about that case. It was all over the news. So your question is it common for minor on minor murders / crimes or violent crimes? Is that the question?
Or for that to be so public and stuff.
I think whenever you have the facts of that case, which is a young girl, a cheerleader, senselessly killed, that's always going to get a lot of media. And it's just that much more sensational that it could be a child who did that. I don't know. I don't think I've seen another news story like that recently. And is it because there haven't been other minor on minor violent crimes? Or is it because it happens that these two children, and they are children, fit the profile of just being, he doesn't look like a murderer. She looks like the girl next door and should grow up to have, a great promising life. I think just like all types of true crime, like why does Delphi capture the world's attention, get its own TV show, own podcast, but Evansdale doesn't? And those girls look very similar in terms of profile, right? Evansdale, the girls are a little younger, but they're both white, young girls. So that's a great question. I bet there are people in this chat room who have psychology backgrounds who can tell us why some crimes capture our attention more so than others.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question. Some people in Delphi have said it's because of the video, maybe. I mean, we know about the video and the audio now, but that story went national way before we had that, the video and the audio. That was released at a later press conference. I mean, like I said, I remember when it happened. I remember sitting in my office working late one night with the television on and them talking about that case. And, you know, it was from day one, big story. And then like Alice said, Evansdale is not. Why certain cases grab people, I don't know. Now, interestingly about that case, there are a lot of interesting things. Because that person is a minor, there's going to be a lot of decisions that are going to have to be made whenever they are charged about how they're going to charge that. Are they going to try, I believe he's 14, isn't that correct?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really young, right? If you charge him as an adult, now he can't be executed because the Supreme Court has said that it's unconstitutional to execute a minor. But he can be sentenced to life without parole. So you could imagine, I mean, this 14-year-old sentenced to life without parole and spends the rest of their life in jail, 70 years in jail or whatever. If, on the other hand, this is sort of the weird thing about our law in some ways, if, on the other hand, he's charged as a minor, depending on the state, he might only spend 4 years in prison, and when he turns 18, he might be released, which also just doesn't seem, like justice. No matter what you think about him getting life without parole, him only getting 4 years would not seem like justice either. And yet he is only 14. So, how criminally culpable is he as compared to your average 34-year-old, right? So that's going to be an interesting case to watch and just see how it goes. I don't know if any decisions have been made on the charging yet or not.
I was looking at it and they hadn't made a decision to try him as an adult yet. But it would look like the court, like some of the pre-trial or some kind of hearing that was all made public and posted everywhere. And I understand the media picking up on it and stuff like that, but I just thought it was really kind of unique that when we saw Chauvin and stuff did the Zoom hearings or whatever, he was 14 doing it, and I was like, oof.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This was crazy.
No, it is crazy. Fortunately, I think it's somewhat rare, but you see it. I mean, everybody knows the Slender Man case, right? Sort of a similar case where you have, in that case, two young girls try and murder their best friend because they think that Slender Man told them to do it. There was some mental illness involved in that case, but nevertheless, I mean, crazy cases. Hello, Hannah. How are you?
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing great.
Good. So I have a really concise question. So have you been following the Kristen Smart case, and will you cover it? Because I'm losing my mind.
Well, I mean, so we've been following it for years. The funny thing about that case is I feel like what everybody said is, the police and the prosecutors are finally catching up to what everybody's known for the last 20 years, which is that this guy did it. Now, I have not listened to it, but my understanding is there's a great podcast called In Your Own Backyard or something along those lines that was a deep dive that it's unclear to me exactly how much credit to give to the podcast, but some people are giving credit to the podcast for helping push this at least to where we are. That case concerns me. I'm worried about it. I hope that the police have everything they need to get a conviction. They still don't have a body. Don't need a body to have a conviction, but it's nice. It makes you wonder.
No body's still a crime.
That's just right. You tell them. That's right, Taylor. Anyway.
Still an April Fool's joke.
It makes you wonder. Still an April Fool's joke. It makes you wonder what it is they have now that they didn't have a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, that makes them confident that they can have the conviction. It is certainly a case we may cover. It's a very interesting case. I assume you would like us to cover it. Is that what you're saying, Hannah?
Well, and it's also possible. Go ahead, Hannah.
Oh, go ahead, Alice.
I was just going to say it's possible that they have no new information, but rather maybe a different person in charge making prosecutorial decisions and saying it's literally now or never. Memories fade over time, evidence gets stale, and this is the best case we have. It's not going to get any better with time. So if we don't charge him, he gets away. If we charge him, we might lose, but we've given it a shot. It might be that. I don't know that for a fact, but these are prosecutorial discretion issues. And it's the person at the top, right, that changes over time, who decides whether charges can be brought. And
look, I mean, there's a good circumstantial case. Again, I forget the guy's name. Who's going to be charged? Flores. I mean, as I recall, and I haven't dived into this case, but as I recall, Flores admits being with her that night, that either he walked her back to her room or she came back to his room, and then So he's the last person to see her, and then she disappears, right? I mean, presumably they got more than that, but that's a good start. It's a good start. And we'll just have to see. I'm really fascinated by that case. I'm looking forward to the trial to see exactly what they do have.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was asking, because I'm really curious about your thoughts with all the legal proceedings that are happening and just the case that the prosecution does supposedly have. And so I'd just be curious. And I do recommend the podcast. I really like the podcast. So if you have time, I would check it out. But
one thing I was a little confused about, if the police had, and this is why I just wonder what the police actually have. So the rumor that we've all heard is that his father helped him to move the body, right? And we know, I mean, obviously that rumor is, at least the police believe it's true, because they arrested the father too. The father has been released, right? I thought the decision to release the father was a little strange, because if the father has already been accused of destroying evidence, essentially, then and obstructing justice, then releasing him to go out and obstruct justice more is a little strange. But I just don't think there was any way they could hold him any longer than they did.
You asked such good questions, like really good questions,
And the other problem is we just don't have the information, right? Like if we did the podcast today, we couldn't tell you anything you don't already know, because the police, we just don't know what they have.
We don't know the prosecution story yet. We don't know their case.
And that's why I'm really fascinated. I mean, that trial, whenever it happens, it's going to be fascinating. So maybe we'll try and cover it live. Who knows?
Depending when it comes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both, and congrats on 1 year.
Thank you, Hannah. Thanks for
You're
grabbing
welcome,
the box.
Hannah. Thank you so much. Hello,
Hi,
Megan. How are you?
Hi, guys. I'm good. Love the podcast.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
So I have a Delafa Pass question, and I know that it's probably trivial in the grand scheme of it, but I just can't
get over it. Trivial
It's
Dyatlov
really
Pass
not
question.
trivial.
So I keep hearing about the tent being cut from inside, and I just don't understand how they determined that. While it was vertical, it still was a flat surface. So you take a knife or whatever and you stab at it and you cut it, probably puckered it a little bit, but I just don't understand how they determined that it was inside or outside. But puckering could have moved with the wind. It probably frayed over all of those weeks of not being discovered. How do they know that it was cut from the inside?
So that is a great question, Megan. Shannon just answered it for you. But in there, I think there's legitimate controversy over whether or not this is true. It's a fact that makes this story so sexy. I hate to ever give it up, right? But apparently they had the tent in and by the way, the tent was cut from the outside, because when the rescuers found the tent, they cut the tent up too. So when you see pictures of the tent looks like completely destroyed. A lot of those cuts are actually from the rescuers themselves. But a seamstress who worked in the building where they had the tent looked at the tent and said, this tent is cut from the inside, and this is how you know. And she showed, like, this is like what it would look like. Exactly. Now, who knows if she knew what she was talking about? I mean, she was a seamstress, right? But who knows? And we can't test it because the tent was thrown away.
And we've also said this time and time again. This case is so mysterious and it's so frustrating because we have the most unreliable narrator, right? The Soviet Union. And so we have that seamstress looked at it. What are the qualifications of that seamstress? This didn't go to trial the way we know it, where you have to qualify an expert. What makes them an expert to be able to testify? We don't know that. Literally all we have is that we are told a seamstress looked at it and said it was. Now, in current day, if I had a trial where I had to show how something was cut, I would probably try to qualify someone as being a fabric expert in knowing how the fibers are cut and how, because of the way the fibers are cut, they split a certain way, and it doesn't matter wear and tear over time. It would wear it down in this manner, but it would not change the ultimate direction, something like that. But would a seamstress know that? I don't know. Seamstress works a lot with cloth, but they're not forensic analysts, right? So had a really good point, and that's not trivial at all, because that is the mind-boggling part. If you're cutting yourself out of your life-saving device on the side of this mountain, why would you do that?
And some of the Soviet investigators claim that they looked at it under a microscope to confirm that. But as Alice said, the unreliable narrator aspect is always going to be there, because the Soviets did not want it to be the Mansi, and they did not want it to be the Soviets, obviously. So if it was cut from the outside, that's pretty strong evidence that it was somebody else, not the hikers who did it. So
Take it
it's
with a
hard
grain
to
of
say,
salt.
right? Yeah, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. And unfortunately, and I mean, it's one of the reasons the mystery endures, no matter how many New Yorker articles are written about it. Is because there are just things, there are facts about it. We can never know. We can debate that until the end of time, but we can never know the real answer. So that is not a trivial question. It's a great question. Thank you so much for asking it.
Yeah, thank you, Megan.
Yeah, thank you, Megan.
Thanks,
Matt,
guys.
you're welcome. Matt, you look so
Smith.
like official. Like you guys look like you are about to launch a podcast yourself.
Yeah. Please tell me you're launching your podcast on the Skip Vokl.
If you insist.
We insist.
Well, that quality,
No.
and my quality is great too.
We'll start one.
Well, I'm
So who
I'm
are
a
we
studio
talking
guy,
to?
so
I assume one of y'all is Matt.
this is me. Yeah, this is Sue. Yeah.
Hey, Sue.
Hello,
Hi,
Matt and Sue.
Nice to meet you guys. Love the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I feel like we need to hire you guys to do the sound because your sound is so good.
Yeah, I love it.
That's what I do for a day job. So anytime,
There you
just
go.
holler.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we made the Maura Murray Drive recently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Mhm.
After following the case from afar for so long, and it was pretty interesting. We came away like feeling like we understood stuff a little bit differently, but still had
So you drove from Amherst
from
up-
UMass. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Got a much better understanding, but still feel like we have no idea what happened. But first thing is like, I always thought she probably was lost. I mean, we know how Maura was with cars or whatever. After being there, there's no way you do not get lost and end up there like that. First off, that exit, well, it's a really pretty drive for the first. I mean, I could see like making that drive to clear my head and whatever. It's beautiful. But once you get off, there's no reason to get off that exit. First of all, there's no gas stations, there's no restaurants, there's no nothing. And then from there to where she crashed, it's like so many turns. I mean,
A lot of
it's
turns.
not, if you get lost, it's like I would think you would backtrack or whatever, but it's way like out of the way and like a very specific place to end up, first of all. Secondly, there's nothing like the way the Oxygen documentary is edited. It's a little, I mean, you know how stuff is, but it's a little bit misleading. It's like, it makes it look like they get off that exit and then there's that downtown section and then is the crash site. It's not like that at all. It's like you get off the exit, there's nothing for, what would you say, 10 miles or something?
Yeah.
Then you get into that little downtown section. You go through another stretch of nothing for a while. And then where she crashed, there's like a bunch of houses.
Yeah.
Like we sort of think of it as like the big three houses, Butch's house and the Murat's house and the Westman's house. It's not like that at all. There's those three. I mean, maybe they weren't all there back then, but a lot of them look pretty old. Like on the side streets, there are houses all around. Like I could not.
Yeah.
And first of all, everything is way closer than it looks on the stuff that you see. I mean, all the stuff that you read about, there's no way Butch could see the crash site. Not true. It's all like right there together. It's really compact. It just seemed, I kind of always thought of it, I guess, as the middle of nowhere. And it's really not. It's like, it's the middle of nowhere. Then it's like a cluster of civilization, which is where she crashed. And then it's the middle of nowhere for like 15 more miles. It's weird to think about. I have no idea what happened. I don't know if she got in a car or what. It seems like when we were there, we were like, why would you get in a car? Even if you were trying to avoid police or whatever, there's so many houses to walk to right there. It seems, it just seems strange. I mean, the woods thing, the woods thing could go either way because it sort of vacillates between being very dense and not as dense. But I mean, I don't think, the thing is like pitch black with like 2 feet of snow on the ground or whatever it was. I don't think you could get anywhere through the woods. I mean, I just, what else? So
somebody said that the hairpin turn is not a hairpin turn. How would you describe the turn that if you believe the story, it supposedly caused her to crash?
That's another interesting thing. It does sneak up on you, but there are many, many, many much worse turns on the drive before you get there. What's-
Or not
what-
even worse, just, things that if you're not paying attention, I mean, even if you took your eyes off the road for just a second to look at something in your passenger seat, you could wind up in the other side of the road, and there's a river that runs along the road. And at one point the road crosses over the river. So it's on the other side of the road. And if you weren't paying attention and you had missed a turn, or if you were drunk, you could very easily go over and into the river because there's not even a guardrail in some of those parts.
Like I think she was drinking, but there's no way she was drunk. I mean, that drive, it's too challenging. And I mean, and we weren't
She
even
wouldn't have made it that far.
Yeah, we were.
How fast were you able to drive on those?
Yeah.
We were
Probably 45.
Yeah.
When you get
So
to the
not
hairpin
fast.
turn, right?
Not fast, but it also wasn't icy or snowy.
Right.
We were there like a month after the time where she crashed. So
Yeah.
she was February.
The
We
roads
were there.
clear.
Yeah, the roads
Yeah.
were clear. But it was pretty interesting. I mean, it's funny because I guess you probably saw like the house they dug the basement up of a couple years ago, whatever, the big yellow house. It's right there. It's like it's the first house you come to, like right before you go around the curve, basically.
Right next to the Westmans.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. It was just different from kind of what I pictured, I guess.
Thank you guys so much for sharing that. What's so interesting as you both are sharing your experience, and I feel like I'm seeing the road through your eyes, this is exactly what Cheryl McCollum said. She said there was no substitute for actually going to the crime scene, right? She says there are things that can't be reported on. You need to use all your five senses to truly understand either the victim, perpetrator, or the circumstances that led to where they are right now. So that's amazing that you guys were able to make that drive. And there are just some things that you're able to pick up on, whether it's the hair on your neck going up when you cross over a bridge, or it's, whether it's a real hairpin turn, or recognizing that there are some parts of the road that maybe you can go 45 on most of it, and maybe you have to slow down at some points because of the way the turn is. Even your description of where all those houses are and how close they are, I've never heard that. That's so interesting to think about, kind of vast, rural nothing, and then a cluster of hope. If you've broken down, if you're truly just broken down, you're like, thank goodness I broke down right here. There's plenty of people around to help me, right? It's not one of those situations where you're in the middle of nowhere for 15 miles. So that's fascinating.
That's exactly what it's like. And also, the fact that there's nothing beyond that, the idea of like hitchhiking because I'd always thought, well, first of all, Swiftwater Station, which is like, the way station, the little gas station about a mile before the crash site that people for some reason think she probably stopped. I mean, if she was absolutely out of gas, she might have stopped there. It is so small you don't even notice it. They had literally one gas pump that wasn't working. It doesn't even seem like a gas station. So I don't know. And
they were closed. I mean, I know they were open, I guess, the night that she crashed, but when we drove by, it was a weekday. They were closed. They were going to be closed like all week. And it's one of those old gas pumps, like pre-90s, where
that's interesting because you think about
know how to use them.
This whole question about whether or not she stopped there and whether or not the person who worked there would have remembered her. Sounds like there probably weren't that many people going through the Swiftwater Station.
I can't imagine
like a high traffic area, right?
Yeah,
and I'd always kind of thought that if she did get in a car, it was probably, take me back to the restaurant I passed a mile ago or something. But there's nothing. There's nothing like that she passed right in that area, and there's certainly nothing far beyond. It's pretty interesting. And I mean, another thing to me, obviously, there's no telling, but with like random foul play stuff like that, it usually seems like, someone will dump a body or whatever. And so I've always kind of been like, well, February in New Hampshire, frozen ground, like how are you going to bury it? But when you make that drive, like once you're like half a mile or a mile past the crash site, it is, what would you say, a good 15 miles of
Probably about, yeah.
Nothing but woods. And it's not even like, it's hard to explain, but it's not even the kind of woods that seem like they're probably hunted or seem like they're probably hiked.
Really not really good access.
Yeah.
The road, there's really no shoulder on the road.
It seems like you could drive half a mile, dump something up in the woods a little ways and it would never be found. I mean, it's way more, I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's way more desolate kind of than I expected. and there's just nothing. There's no restaurants. There's no, I mean, the next ski town is like, what is it, like 10, 15 miles like past the crash site.
Yeah.
So it's,
Is that Bretton Woods or is that Loon Mountain or whatever?
It's like Lincoln area. And I can't remember. There's another, I think there's a place you get to right before you get to Lincoln.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because I used to go up there and go skiing all the time. I always wonder if I've ever driven down that road because I remember, I mean, all those roads up there, like you said, incredibly curvy roads.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that's the thing, you know. So my wife had a Saturn, like basically the same year Saturn as Maura had, and we used to drive that thing up there. And man, there were times, like I remember one time we went, and we were going up to the ski slope, right? And we like went up the hill, one of the last hills, get ski slope. We got about to the top of the hill, and then we just slid all the way back down the bottom. So we had to do it again. So it's hard for me to imagine her taking that car. I mean, it's just crazy that she took that car up there to New Hampshire on those windy roads like you were talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild. So now that you've done it, do you have a theory?
I sort of have the things that I kind of thought before almost make less sense now. I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah.
It's really strange. I mean,
I assumed she had gotten in a car. But one of the things too, we were there about the same time of night. Obviously it was later in the year, so it was still light out. And it was a weekday. It was probably a Tuesday. We were up there and she crashed on a Monday, but there was one car that passed,
yeah,
two cars
very
that passed.
very little
At
highway
that time,
traffic.
very little traffic.
During the day, it's pretty busy.
Yeah.
Because we went back during the day and checked, got yelled at by the neighbors, even though we didn't. Yeah, we were like, we didn't park on anyone's property. We didn't make any kind of scene or anything. We parked like way off on the side road and walked up just to kind of look at the, where the ribbon was, where they cut the tree down real quick. And man, the neighbor lady came out and she was pissed. She's like, how you like those trees? They're all pine trees. Each one of them's different. It's pretty unique, huh?
No, yeah, I've heard the neighbors are pretty sick of people coming by.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out which tree was the ribbon tree because the ribbon's gone. The trees are gone. So we were kind of looking at the stumps, trying to figure out if we could figure out which one it was. And that's when she came out.
Yeah, we were. I mean, again,
it's
not like we like parked in the driveway or were like, be in any trouble. We were just trying to be quick, but they weren't. She was not happy. But.
Well, it sounds like you guys have some really good material for the first episode of your podcast.
That's right.
I look forward to listening.
This was a dress rehersal.
We can never compete.
But
yeah,
it's not competition. No competition. We love it.
No,
don't release on Tuesdays, and it'll be fine.
Exactly. Yeah, but thanks for what you guys do. We really enjoy it and really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nice to.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you for joining.
Sharing what you learned. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah,
thanks,
really,
guys.
really interesting.
Too. Allie, thank you so much for
Hello, Allie.
reading. Oh, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Allie. We can't hear you.
Oh, there. Figure
There
out the
you go.
button. This is like my first time on any sort of video call
Yay,
since I had
well
my baby
done.
7 months ago. So, yeah, I wanted to talk more Mari too. So, first of all, I'm sure you don't want to go down the rabbit hole of all of the shenanigans going on in the community right now, but if you do, I would love to hear about it. But it's crazy. And then what has kind of blown my mind recently was I had written off the tandem car like so long ago in my theories, and after Tim and Lance came out with that recent it had like 3 parts the last few weeks of those episodes, and then we talked about the red truck and like that her gas tank was completely full, and like that there was like that weird red truck there, and like did we hear about that red truck before, or am I just like confused? Like, did I just forget in like the 100-something episodes I've listened to over all this time? Missing Maura Murray. Like, I'm like, I don't even remember like learning about this truck, and now it's kind of like stuck in my head, and it's just like it's every single thing with this case just ends up like keeping me up at night, like, and then I just can't get it out of my head. So I don't know if you had listened to those episodes and what you had thought of the red truck, and because I was thinking like maybe that was their tandem car, and maybe they had kind of like they were either behind her or in front of her, and that's how she like made her quick exit from the scene, like that they were with her. And I don't know, now I'm spiraling with the red truck. So.
Yeah, well, so we talked briefly about the red truck on one of our episodes, but we didn't spend a lot of time on it. And
yeah, I feel like I don't remember much about it.
it is interesting that it came up in the black box report. So the red truck is something people have talked about a lot. A red truck with some sort of wooden bed, like some sort of wood, like slats on the side or something. It depends on who you ask. Some people have said that the Loon Mountain 3 were driving a red truck, and that's like part of it. I don't know. It's like I said when we talked about the episode. I just feel like the more I think about the Maura Murray case, the more confused I get. It's the one case where it just, like so many of our cases, we work them up, but we start off and work them up. We're like, man, this is so obvious, right? I mean, it's just so obvious what happened. It's so obvious this person's guilty or not guilty. It's just kind of clear once you really look at it, and you just think, oh, the only reason people don't know this is because they've never really looked at it. That is not the Maura Murray case. The Maura Murray case, you look at the Maura Murray case all day long, and you're never going to come to any kind of conclusion.
It's like the opposite of a magic eye. The more you look at it, the more confusing it gets.
And it doesn't help
that's 100% right.
That people in the community, like there's so much misinformation now that it's like, what's real, what isn't real, like what do we even actually know? Like I would just love it if one day people could eventually get their hands on like the actual case files and like Maura's like instant messenger messages and her whatever was actually in her emails, like in her computer. Like I feel like people could actually solve it if we could have all of that information, but we don't. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I feel like at this point, essentially, I think we almost need to start over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I hate to say that because I really like Tim and Lance, and they've done 100-something episodes on this case, but I feel like they got to start at square one, because what I think has become evident over the last couple of weeks is that so much of what we thought we knew, we don't know, right? Like, either it's information was provided to us by people that we now are not sure about and their motives. There's clearly been a lot of false information. There's clearly been a lot of false tips. A lot of those are now out in the open. And that's a good thing, right? But it just makes you question, I mean, just going back to this whole question, I mean, just a simple thing. Was she packing her room or was she unpacking her room? Right? There are a bunch of boxes in her room. Was she unpacking
or
packing?
was she lazy because she didn't?
Or was she lazy?
Because she didn't, unpack things because they had to pack things up to clean for whenever.
And we thought for a long time that she had packed up her room. This was part of the story. Part of the story was Maura packed up her room before she left, and that made people really wonder. And people have said that's one of the reasons the police thought it was suicide. It's because that's one of the things people do sometimes, when they're contemplating suicide, is they try and get all their affairs in order to make it easy on their family, right? So was she doing that? Well, then, Aaron comes along, and Aaron says, oh, no, I'm from UMass, and everybody knew that you packed up all your stuff before you left for winter break. So
I
probably
actually went to UMass like almost. I went there like once a month. My husband went to UMass and ran track there 2 years after Maura was not there, and he said nobody even ever mentioned this case, which I thought was weird.
We should get your husband on here too.
No one mentioned the case. That's interesting.
So, and then I had gone up there almost every month to visit, and like I've been in the same dorm that she lived in, and like I had even asked my husband about timelines on like would they, and he was like, no, you pretty much left your room as is, and like you went home on break, and like we went back before a couple weeks before that even happened, so like that wouldn't make sense that the room would be all packed up. Like you sort of just took your clothes home in a hamper and that was it.
Which is what almost every college student does, right? Can you imagine if you tried to make a bunch of college students pack up their room when they're trying to finish finals and get home?
But
yeah,
once
and
again,
in her dorm, and I remember like being in her dorm, like I've probably passed by that same desk where she was a security guard. Like I know exactly, and those guards do work like really late on the Thursday nights because Thursdays are super rowdy at UMass. They call it the zoo. It's crazy. So it's just like funny. Like I'm very familiar with all these places that she was, and and just talking to like people that actually went there and. So many of the things like the packed room, that's just really bizarre. I don't think it was packed.
So I have a good relationship with Aaron.
You don't think it was packed from the winter holidays?
Yeah.
I have a good relationship with Aaron, but there are so many things that we think we know because Aaron said it, right? One of them is the packed room.
Yeah.
One of them is that there's no way Maura could have gotten away from her desk job that she was working that night when Patrick Vassy was hit. It's impossible. She had the same job. No way she could have gotten away, right? And, I mean, it's just stuff like that. I mean, I don't know what to believe anymore, right? I don't know who to believe. And I think those are really important questions. And then there's other things that we only know because Bill Rausch's mom told us, because Bill Rausch's mom, Sharon, was very involved in the search early on. You can imagine. I mean, she loved this girl, knew this girl. She was very involved. But the more we learn about all that, how much can we trust that, right? So I just feel like there's so many questions that we can't necessarily know the answer to. And I feel like somebody, not us, needs to or maybe Tim and Lance are the people to do it. I mean, they did, because it needs to be somebody who is just willing to dedicate themselves to this case and just really start at the beginning and work their way through it and try and give us some kind of concrete ideas about this case, because I just feel like we don't know anything. And that's crazy because this case is 17 years old.
I find it really weird. Like, has none of her other friends have come forward? Like, I feel like we had Erin Larkin, who sort of knew her from like Kate, Kate Markopoulos being like the big sister or whatever the case is. But it's like, nobody else has come forward and been like, I was actually friends with Maura and like, this is what was going on.
And we mentioned that,
Yeah,
we mentioned that it's so weird that no one comes forward as her friends. And also from like childhood, she was at West Point for 2 years and childhood. And I know some people wrote us afterwards and said, no, her friends really cared, but not in the public eye, and certainly not in ways that you see a lot of these missing person cases to have, right? Faces coming out, fundraisers, walks, whatever, what have you. Rather, it's all these people who tangentially are related, right? You have just as much of a connection, Allie, as a lot of the people who call themselves experts in this case.
Exactly. It's like, well, where are the people that actually knew her and like the party from the weekend before? Like, where are these people? Like, it's just, it makes me crazy.
if I remember, like, when I was in college, some guy went for a run in our dorm and lost a necklace. And a whole bunch of us got together and like walked his route that he'd went on this long run for to look for this necklace, right? If somebody from my dorm had gone missing, whether I knew them or not, I would have at least spent like a weekend up there looking for her. That's the crazy thing. And like you said, like nobody at UMass ever talked about it.
Yeah, my husband was like,
she
I never even heard of this. So I was like, you were there, like you were running track there, like right after this happened, like you never heard about this. He was like, no.
There was no Maura Murray Memorial Run, or there was just nothing. It's like she just vanished off the face of the earth and nobody cared. And it's just the weirdest thing. It's mind blowing. I mean, it's people who have never met Maura care more about her than the people who were on the track team with her. And that's a fact. I mean, and I just don't get it. Crazy. And it just makes you wonder. And this is why this case is so great. I love this case because it just makes you wonder if maybe some of the conspiracy theories are right? Maybe Kate didn't care, not because she didn't care, because she knew that Maura had done what Maura wanted to do and supported her. And Maura was off living in Canada now, working as a bartender, right? I mean, who knows? It's crazy. It's a crazy case. And it's why it's a case that just grabs people in a way that no other.
I've been
case
obsessed
really
with
does.
it for years. Like I remember reading about it in the 17 magazine when I was subscribing to that because I was like, oh, like I have a lot of friends who go here and like what's up with this girl? And like then I've heard about it through the years, and now obviously with podcasts and everything, it's been crazy. But I started subscribing to you guys when you covered it, and like I listened to your coverage of it like 4 times. Like I listened to everything about Maura Murray like multiple times because I think I'm gonna discover some magic information that like
you should get your husband to reach out to Tim and Lance and do a Get Vokl with them, and then and they can talk
you
to
would
him.
hate that. He hates all my true crime stuff. He's like if he even knew I was doing this right now.
That's what makes him the ideal person.
Yeah, he's
perfect.
perfect.
He has no agenda.
That's very true. So no, but thank you guys. Honestly, I love all your episodes you come out with, and I put a few suggestions in the chat. So thanks for
thank you, Allie.
Thank you,
Allie. We could
Allie.
talk about more for 5 hours. So
Oh, we could. We absolutely could. I don't want to make everybody else sick.
Okay, see you guys.
Okay, we're gonna have 2 spots open, guys. So if anybody wants to jump
I'm
in,
really sorry. I have not kept up with the chats on the side. We're not ignoring you. I'm not fast enough.
I'm obsessed with Mara Murray, so it's like I can't help myself. We start talking about Mara Murray, I just. So I do want to. Oh, go ahead, Alice.
No. I was actually going to just try and direct us to another case in case people didn't want to keep talking about Mara.
I want to read this email because this email is amazing. This is from Andy, right? He says, "Hi, my wife is a super fan and recently got me into your show as well. She's been insisting I contact you guys. I grew up in rural Southwest Virginia and my parents had a worm farm. It was a full-on operation with worm beds, harvesters, employees, etc. The castings, worm poop, were the gold of the operation, sold as organic fertilizer. But we also sold the worms as bait. And yeah, we also had a mattock. Growing up, my brothers, sisters, and I would use all sorts of digging and prying tools. It's a useful tool for dealing with shallow roots. It's like the farm version of a crowbar. To my knowledge, it was never used to murder anyone." And that's what he says. "Something funny about growing worms. When it rains and the barometric pressure drops, the worms can sense it all and start crawling up out of their bed. So when it rains, you have to shine bright light on them to keep them in the soil." So there you go. The worm farm question answered.
That was fascinating.
Yes.
And
Thank
you
you,
guys
Andy, wherever you are.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. You guys don't see this, but I think I showed Brett. I can't remember it. But yesterday, I went on a walk with my boys, and they spent the entire walk playing with worms on the sidewalk, and it was disgusting to me. But the whole time, all I could think about was worm farming as I spent time with my children.
Hey, there you go. That was the best part about that episode. I mean, it was an interesting case, but the whole worm farming thing was
That was fascinating.
Yeah. This is the kind of things you get to learn about when you do podcasting.
Okay, quick poll. Is anyone going to CrimeCon? Because we are taking off in like a week and 2 days.
Wow, is it really that soon? You're right.
I could get I might have my calendar wrong. Maybe it's in 2 weeks.
Oh, I think that's about right.
2 weeks?
It's in 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks.
Whew. Maybe I would have gotten
First week in June. First week in June.
Sorry, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks.
Yeah. Is anybody coming? Elizabeth has a sad face, so I assume that's a no. And Mandy says, "I wish."
Oh, Allie,
bring the bottle and the baby. Alice
bring
is
the
great with
bottle and
kids.
baby. Or don't bring a bottle, just bring the baby.
There you go. There you go. We'll supply the bottle.
I think that it's the bottle that the baby won't have.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, if anybody is actually coming, we'd love to see you guys. We'd love to meet you.
Yes.
Shannon, are you gonna fly halfway across the country to come?
Shannon has other things to do. Okay, Brett, what other questions do you have? Folks have like 7 more minutes. I can't believe how many people are in here, and everyone's so shy and doesn't want to grab a box.
Oh, you're going to? Oh, I didn't know what CODA was. That's awesome. I mean, if you're already down there for the race, you might as well go ahead and stay for CrimeCon. I mean, come on. Shannon's always one of my
Okay, Brett,
buddies.
I have a question for
Sorry,
you.
I'm talking about racing.
Since we've hit our 1 year thing.
Okay, Alice.
What were your hopes and dreams for us a year and 1 day ago before we were to launch? What were your hopes and dreams, and where did you think we would be in a year?
So my goal was that you would still talk to me 1 year later. And my hopes and dreams were we would still have this podcast going in a year. That was basically, if you'd have told me we'd still be doing it in a year, I would have been like, success, right?
If you told me that we would be having a Get Vokl where people gave up their precious time around the world to sit in here and watch us talk about this, I'd be floored, absolutely floored. In fact, the first time we were going to do a Get Vokl, Brett said, "Hey, can you do a Get Vokl?" And I had no idea what it was, had to look it up. And I said, "No, I don't think we should do it because it'll just be embarrassing because it'll be the two of us sitting in an empty room."
Yeah, I mean, I am surprised. I'm surprised about how well it worked. And we talked about this a little bit. I mean, you guys have so many options. There's so many great podcasts out there, so many great true crime podcasts out there. And it's the fact that you guys have stuck with us this whole time. It's just amazing. And we really appreciate it. And we said this before, but you guys, you're our top fans, and we want to do the cases that you want to do. So I hope you'll continue to send us your suggestions.
a couple of people have mentioned, including most recently Elizabeth, the Girl Scout murders. I actually don't know much about those, but I've heard enough about them that it sounds fascinating because I was in the Girl Scouts until I was a senior in high school. I talk about that, I
Were
think.
you a gold star person?
So, no, because I didn't do any of the hard work. I literally just paid my dues and ate Girl Scouts cookies. I'm not even sure I
Yeah,
sold
you have
them.
all
I'm
those
pretty sure I ate
stories
them.
about selling
Selling Girl Scout
cookies out of the
cookies.
trunk of your car. That's right.
Yeah, that really sounds sketchy, but I did do that.
Hmm.
So I find that I want to find out more about that case because it sounds very interesting. And there are so many serial killer recommendations. This all sounds great. Fantastic.
Christian and Andriaccio. Yeah, that case. We'll probably do it eventually. I mean, it's really complicated and legally dangerous because I think the people involved in it sue everybody.
Oh, Stacy is waiting for the Jeffrey McDonald.
Stacy, you may not have to wait too much longer.
Ooh, we're doing that for you.
Yeah, may or may
So
not.
don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. You guys found out
Recorded on
something
that.
secret.
Yeah. By the time you release this, we probably will already release an episode on that. So
That's actually probably true.
stay strong, Stacy. Stay strong. Do you
Not
have any
too much
thoughts,
longer.
Stacy? Do you have an opinion on whether or not he did it? Totally guilty, she said.
nice, Stacy.
There you go, Stacy. I don't know if you guys, we had a whole discussion with Maggie Freeling and the ladies from Women in Crime about that, which is really interesting. That was a great discussion. I didn't get drunk that night, so it was really good.
It was really good. It was really good because the Women in Crime podcast, they kind of came from we basically came from different sides in terms of whether we thought he was guilty or not. But it was a very civil conversation. We had a lot of fun, but it's always fun when you have someone who disagrees with you on the outcome, because then you have something to discuss, you know?
They were great too.
Yeah.
I really liked them.
Indeed. Okay, we have 3 minutes before the end of the hour, top of the hour. I don't really know what top of the hour means. But are there any last minute burning questions? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah. There's so many things we miss by not seeing each other normally.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we should record all our episodes like this.
Maybe we shouldn't. I think let me think this. I always like to give you guys a little bit of podcast trivia because you guys, so generously give us money and show up for these things. I think one of the only episodes we did together was the Mary Celeste episode, which was the sea shanty one, which ended up just being like one of the funniest for us episodes. I don't think we can record in the same room anymore because we had way too much fun and laughed way too much, and it took much longer than it should have.
That was definitely our hardest editing case that I had because that was like 2 hours of recording for like 50 minutes of actual show. But
there was a lot of laughing. I'm pretty sure Mrs. Brett kept poking her head in and be like, "Are y'all working?" We're like, "Kind of."
Yes.
And I think I see a very long question from Victoria. I'm sorry, it's going so quickly. I haven't had a chance to read it, but we'll go back and read all of y'all's questions and comments and maybe do follow-up episodes on them because I know we're about to reach the hour. This time I brought my charger, so it's not going to die on me. But let me think. Brett, I've asked you all a personal question. You don't have any burning questions?
Oh man, Alice, I don't know. That's a tough question.
I'm all about tough questions. I had a terrible day at work today. Let me say that. And this is the highlight of my day, like hands down.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys, not all days are hard at work. And I'm sure many of you had tough days at work, at home with babies that don't, take bottles, what have you. Been there, done that, totally understand. But you guys are the highlight after a long, cruddy day at work. And so thank you guys. I know we hear from so many of you. Thank you thank us for, giving you something to do during the pandemic, during the day, on your runs, what have you. But you guys give us just as much back. So I hope you know that.
And Elizabeth, before we go, if you want to grab a spot and tell us what the Watseka Wonder is. Oh,
Oh, hi. I took my hair down, so I'm looking a little grunge.
Looking great.
No.
Watseka is this little tiny town in Illinois, south of Chicago. And back in the 1800s, I think, there was a young girl who, her name was Mary. I can't remember, Mary something. I should know this. You have me on the spot. But she was, my own sort of, knowledgeable perspective is that she was mentally ill and she probably had some kind of seizure disorder, but she was kind of considered to be possessed. And so she died very young. And then it was maybe 10 years later, across town, there was a little girl named Laurency Venom, I think was her name. And she started telling her dad and her mom and everybody that she was this Mary girl and she wanted to go home. So she was claiming to be possessed by Mary. So, and she knew things that only Mary and her family would know. And so she ended up getting to, Mary's dad came and met with her, and she actually went and lived with Mary Bell, I think was her name maybe. And she went and lived with them as Mary for a while. And
wow,
it's quite a fascinating case. And it was the thing that's most fascinating about it is that it was highlighted, it was referenced in the book, The Exorcist. And so it's, it's a true story and supposedly it's possession. It's a real big deal because Watseka has it's about the size of Delphi. It's got about 5,000 people. And so but there's a book on it and everything. So, if you just Google it, you can get more detailed information, but it could be a fun Halloween thing.
Well, that is interesting. We're always looking for Halloween stuff. So.
Yeah. So
that's terrifying. Real quick note on the Exorcist. JC mentioned something. I want you to know that our Exorcist episode, Roland Doe, actually got the attention of the Catholic Church. Thank you, Elizabeth. I always get nervous when you get the attention of an institution like the Catholic Church, but they had good things to say about it. And it was actually really fascinating to hear their perspective on some things. So, yeah. So Elizabeth, in other words, these true story, these stories based on accounting by usually priests or people at the time is fascinating and basically as scary as it gets because it's reality, but real horror.
Yeah. I enjoy doing that case. But we'll have to, I don't know how much detail Alice wants to go into about this.
Oh, Hannah, we may do a follow-up. It's an ongoing conversation with the Catholic Church.
Right. Yes. It is an ongoing conversation, which I am not a part, but
you're a part of everything, Brett.
Yes.
The Vatican is not on the line.
Right.
But no, we are not in trouble. We are not in trouble. The greatest thing about this podcast, I will say, has been its ability to open us up to have conversations with people who have invested in different areas, whether it be experts or the more Murray community, what have you, but experts in those areas. And that's been fascinating to get their perspectives and talking to people who really know something. People say that about us all the time. Like, you guys know something. We know some things. We don't know everything. But we do our best to reach out to people who do know the thing and learn from them. That's what we have to do in court. And that's what we try to do in this podcast. And so with the support of y'all, we really, really appreciate it. So any last burning questions?
Last burning questions before we wrap it up for tonight. Well, guys, it is always a pleasure to get together with you. We will do this again soon. Can't wait. And if any of you are going to CrimeCon, please shoot us an email. Let us know. We want to meet you. Come by and see us. Something. We love you guys.
We're going to have goodies at our table.
We are going to have goodies. Yeah, so come get a
Yes,
goodie.
designed by the wonderful Hannah Hill.
Hannah Hill. It was amazing.
Free goodies, we should say. So, especially for the super fans. I know you don't get a badge for being a Patreon, but just tell us and you'll get some free goodies.
Exactly. So if you are going to be there, make sure you come by and say hello to us. And who knows? Maybe we will hang out with Nancy Grace. You never know. We're definitely hanging out with Cheryl. Cheryl McCollum's going to be there. We're so excited to see her. Cannot
Kelsey will be there.
Wait. Kelsey's going to be there. She's doing a panel, so that'll be awesome. It's going to be a great time. So if you're still on the fence and trying to decide whether or not you want to go, definitely go. Prosecutors, 10% off. So there you go. Okay, guys. Well, this has been awesome. We will see you soon. But until then, I'm Brett.
And I'm Alice.
And we are the prosecutors. Okay, so now's the off the record part where you guys can answer.
Yeah, I'm dancing to our music.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Gosh. I can't believe how many of y'all showed up tonight. I hope everyone's having a great thing. Keep singing, please. You're doing great. What I was going to say is I can't believe all these people are here, especially now that the weather's nicer and we can actually be outside,
I know. We're going to have to start doing this later and later so people don't have anything else
I know. It's getting, I love when it's
midnight with the prosecutors.
But then it would be a normal hour for the people around the world,
Like our West Coast friends, it's 6 o'clock when we start this.
This is pretty early.
Whatever, man.
This is very early. Yeah. Did you see the video of my kids and the worms? You should go look.
I did not.
On Instagram. It's really adorable.
It's on Instagram. Okay.
It's on Instagram. It's very cute. I'll check it out.
Shannon's all about the 6 p.m. thing.
Okay.
That's good.
I'm down with that. I'm down with 6 p.m. I'm looking outside. It's dark. Okay, am I the only one? Let me throw out a question for everyone who's still here. I moved houses recently, so I don't have any blinds yet. So it means that when it's dark outside, if there's light inside, I can't see outside, but anyone outside.
But everybody can see you.
But yes, Brett, thank you for the obvious. Does anyone else live in fear as I do? Whenever I walk by a window at night, I'm afraid I'm going to get shot from the outside. Is that just me?
I mean, I'm always afraid there's just going to be somebody standing there.
No, the standing thing is okay. I'm always afraid a bullet's going to come through. So when I go to
it's like that scene from The Wire.
Right? Thanks, Allie. It's just me. Thanks, Michelle. To the point, this is something I've done since I was a child. When I walk up to a window and the blinds are up and I'm going to pull it down, because you can see me through the window, I'll start to pull it and then I'll jump out of the way as the blinds are coming down so that if you knew where I was standing and you shot a gun, you couldn't hit me. Just me? Okay. Everybody
or, oh God, what was the name of the guy? Texarkana. There was a murderer. Maybe not Texarkana. Is it Texarkana?
Texarkana had murderers, yeah. What
was the town that feared sundown? There you go, Elizabeth. What was the name of that town? Was that Texarkana? Well, in any event, the guy, the murderer involved in that would shoot people through the window. So there you go, Alice. He may still be out there.
And I grew up in Texas, so maybe everyone around me was afraid of the serial killer in Texarkana. And also, I lived in Austin when there was the gas station killer, sniper. He shot people when they were at gas stations during the day.
In Austin?
Was
not the DC sniper?
DC sniper. There was one. There was also one. There was one at some point in my childhood. Man. Anyways, I just thank you, Mandy, or Michelle, for my window safety.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about it a lot because I don't have blinds and I'm looking right now outside, hoping someone doesn't shoot me through the window.
The movie in the 70s or whatever was good, and there was a remake which was okay, but he wore a bag over his head, kind of like Jason.
Oof, it's terrifying. Were there holes cut out?
Yeah, so he could see. Alice, I don't know how we got on this, the whole window thing.
Because I looked out my window and I got scared.
And there's a window right next to me now. Now I'm worried. What if somebody's out there getting ready to shoot me?
Thank you. I'm just trying to make you all aware of window safety, and I'm looking out the window right now. So if something happens to me, y'all can see. That's all.
Oh. Well, Alice, I promised
I
an
have to
episode
talk
on you
about
if
it.
you're shot through the window of your home.
One episode? I only
We
warrant
did a
one
memorial
episode.
episode. Well, I'll have to find a new
A
co-host.
memorial episode. She loved windows.
Oh man.
Oh man.
All right. Well, unless
You guys
anybody
are
has
the best.
anything else.
I know. I can't believe so many people are still here listening to me talk about my fear of windows.
I didn't even know you had a fear of windows. When do you guys even sleep? I don't know.
You know what? That's funny because I feel
Alice
like
never
every time I
sleeps is
text.
the answer.
No, that
to
is
the
not
question.
true. But I do always text Brett when he's asleep somehow.
She always does. Well, because she texts at like 2:00 in the morning, and I'm like, I'm asleep.
I'm like, come on, give me the password to our account.
Alice she does. Like, I'll wake up in the morning and at like 1:57, somebody tried to log into our Instagram, and it's like, is this you? And I'm like, well, no, I don't think so, but maybe Alice was up at 1:57, and I text her, and sure enough, she was. So
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you wanting to give me more episodes. And
7 episodes. That would be a lot. We did
Yeah,
way
I'm
too
not
many
working
episodes of
that
Scott
much.
Peterson, by the way. How did we do
overboard.
6 episodes on Scott Peterson? I
I don't know, but
I
that
can't
was
believe
a
people
lot.
listen to all those. God, you
Yeah.
guys are like loyal.
You
I
guys
wouldn't
are
even listen
awesome.
to 6 episodes. I was sick of Scott Peterson by the time we got finished with that. Can't imagine if you had to listen to
I'm
it.
just sick of Scott Peterson, period.
Yeah, well, seriously, I am also sick of Scott Peterson.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm glad we did Scott Peterson because I feel like it's something people can point to when everybody's like, "Oh, Scott Peterson's innocent." It's like, no, he's not.
That's true. That is very true. And there was so much like noise about non-evidence that was very frustrating.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I had
We're
no
about
idea
to do
until we
that
did it.
in the McDonald case too.
Oh yeah,
So,
we're about to do that. Yeah, same thing, same difference. So,
oh, Mandy, that's very sweet of you to say that we would do the case right. I had a question for you, but I forget now.
for me or for them?
Yeah,
For me.
more for you, but I guess for them to listen to.
I'm glad that my favorite murder came to the conclusion that he's guilty too. That makes me feel better.
Oh, good, fantastic.
And they have like 1 million, listeners. So good for them.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm one of my things is I'm late to the game on everything, like by a decade or more. So I told Brett this today, but I just started the show Broadchurch. So good. Oh my goodness. I know literally I'm a decade late. But it's so good. So nobody tell me what happened because I'm still very early in season 1, but I'm making a plug for it because I found it a decade later.
What was the name of the American version of Broadchurch? Was it also Broadchurch?
I didn't know there was an American version until you told me.
There
So
was.
I assume Broadchurch US style. Is that not the name of it?
No, I think it had
Another
I'm gonna
name.
look it up. We are.
Okay.
See,
The US version is
I
garbage. That's good
thought-
to know because I'm watching the British version, obviously. Grace Point. Oh, I didn't know
Grace
Grace
Point,
Point. Was
that's right.
good. I've never watched Grace Point, but I've
Yeah,
heard of
that's
it.
right.
Oh, someone just told me about Mayor of Easttown. It is actually, I assume it has to do with horses because of the name, but it's actually shot in my friend who owns a horse farm's town. So she was telling me about it. You guys, what is Lost? I'm just kidding.
I mean, at least Broadchurch has an ending, unlike Lost. Still waiting for Lost to end.
That's fair. I never finished Lost. Actually, I'm one of those terrible people who skipped many seasons and just watched the last episode. It's highly dissatisfying.
Yeah.
Oh, no horses in the series. Too bad.
Honestly, if Lost had ended like Saint Elsewhere and just been spoiler alert, everybody was living in a snow globe, that would have been better than the way it ended. But, yes, thank you, Shannon.
God.
That was what it should have been. It should have just been that. That was obvious.
There you go. There you
Go for
go.
that.
All right. I guess maybe I actually have to work more tonight. I took a break from work to talk to you guys. I know that's so sad. No, it's
That
okay.
is
I'm
sad.
almost done. I only have like 2 more hours of work left.
What are you working on?
I have to write a brief.
A brief.
Yeah, that's fine.
Usually what I'm doing.
Oh, Shannon, trial prep. Good luck.
Ah.
Good luck.
I just picked up a trial.
Yeah, it's not a difficult brief, but I need to finish it because during the day is so crazy these days.
Yeah, I need to write a brief too. I guess I'll do that tomorrow.
We really do love our jobs, guys. But if you wanted to make it possible for us to quit, that's fine too.
Oh, 2 weeks of grand jury. Michelle, goodness gracious.
You guys, we picked the wrong professions. Ones where we have to
So
work
Shannon,
all the time.
So you have a jurisdiction where you can strike the judge?
Huh.
Those are interesting. Yeah, where it's either side can do it, right? They can decide to strike the judge. Yeah.
Interesting.
But then the next one you get, you got to keep them.
I have a question for super fans who are still left. Brett and I were discussing what we should be wearing to CrimeCon. Because I told him because we were prosecutors, which, we are, we should wear business casual or not wear t-shirts. What do you guys think? Can you give us fashion advice on what we should wear? Owl did it too.
I have one of those. I don't know. Alice, do you have an Owl did it or hashtag Team Owl or whatever it is? What is that? What does the shirt even say? I don't even remember.
I feel like I ordered them and they never came. Maybe they sent to my old house. Maybe that's what cosplay. So if you have, Michelle, what should we wear?
Michelle.
I can't. I'm in my pajamas, so fashion advice for me is going to be pretty funny. But I just can't type anymore.
Oh, Michelle, thank you.
CrimeCon. I've been to 2 of them. Definitely
wear a
Shannon. Sweater or a sweatshirt or something because it's always cold because the air conditioning
is it really cold?
And
is it really dressed down or what do people wear?
Jeans and a nice shirt, and I wore a dress once just because I was comfortable. Be comfortable.
Okay. Would it be weird if I wore a dress?
No, I'm bringing a dress and a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and a cardigan, just because.
So you are coming, Michelle? You're coming?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I'm gonna be there.
Hey, Michelle, you come to our table. We have so many goodies for you.
And you guys have to come to our table because me and my fellow board member from PIs for the Missing that we have a table. So come visit me.
We will be there.
Absolutely will.
Maybe
100%.
Maybe if they do it alphabetically, we'll be next to each other.
Ah, there you go.
I like it.
Sense,
or
right?
the shit out of Jillian talking about law stuff all day.
Perfect.
I love it.
We're so glad you're going to be there.
Comfortable. That's CrimeCon, especially
to be comfortable. Got it.
Yeah, I was exhausted. We did the table last year for PIs for the Missing. I was exhausted.
Really?
And I wore sneakers all day, which was the best idea.
Okay.
That I had. Probably in the
Do you not? Are there no chairs, or are you just up talking to people?
Chairs, but then you're walking around, you're talking to people. That's at least how it was for me last year. I was exhausted. Thank God my boyfriend was with me, so he was able to just feed me chicken tenders.
That sounds delicious.
Fetch me the tenders.
Fetch me the tenders. How do you know that's what I say every night?
It's super casual. You don't have to get you don't have to come dressed in a suit. I am leaving all that shit at home.
Okay. I wasn't gonna wear a suit, but I was thinking jeans and maybe a nice camel hair, jacket.
Clothes that make people feel comfortable approaching me. I feel like everyone approaches me no matter what.
Bring out
whether I want them to or not.
If you have business cards or something for the podcast or for whatever, you make or even just your personal ones. The first year that I went, I made so many contacts with people who I ended up calling later on cases I was actually working on.
Wow. That's a great idea. We hadn't thought about that.
That's how I met Cheryl McCollum, the first year, because I was super interested in cold cases. And I just walked up to her table. I met Dr. Laura Petler. She took apart an MVAC to show me how it worked, and we exchanged information. So definitely bring your business cards too, because people get really excited when they hear that someone has a specialty or something, and they'll want to connect with you.
That's Michelle. This is so helpful. Thank you.
Helpful.
We haven't talked to anyone who's been
we
before.
Should make some business cards.
And Allie, we should probably go to does Kinko still exist?
Vistaprint online.
Vistaprint. Okay.
That has an owl on it, and the other that has a Yeti on it.
Done. Shannon, good for you. I'm going to do that. And Allie, I totally agree with you. I cannot wait for the Brett fangirls.
So Alice, we're at that time of the night on the
Alice is alien.
Yeah, we're at the time now to get Vokl where you turn into an alien. It's so weird. This happens like about this time every get Vokl.
I like that that's the gimmick for your Get Vokl. If you stay on long enough.
Alice turns into an alien. Yeah, the alien comes out. There you go. It was aliens all along.
I'm going to go to bed before I turn into, I don't even know what, like a hot mess and a half. But if I do not see you guys on Get Vokl, I will definitely see you around
we'll
June
see you in
3rd,
Austin.
June 4th in Austin.
Sounds awesome. Can't wait to see you, Michelle.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
can't wait to meet y'all.
Yeah.
I was jumping on to endorse the t-shirt option, and also it's either freezing cold or Austin hot, which you know. But how it works in our jurisdiction, both in state court and in the administrative courts that I practice in regularly, you get to strike the judge for no reason. You don't have to give a reason, but it has to be done before they make a substantive ruling. So you have to do it really quick right at the beginning.
Huh.
And the downside is that if you don't strike the person, that doesn't guarantee that it won't be reassigned to that person. Like if you're like, ugh, thank God I got so-and-so, it doesn't mean like 2 days before your hearing or your trial, it won't be reassigned again. And you can't do it at that point.
Wow.
Or if you do, you piss off the head judge, who, by the way, I give her props for this every time. Every time I've stricken 2 judges, and every time I strike one, she gives me the other. And every time, good on you.
That's awesome.
It. I know exactly what you're doing here. You're doing your job. I'm doing mine. Go for it.
That is a really interesting thing. Huh.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a general counsel, I was very judicious about using it because it imports to everybody, and it's like really frowned upon in the superior courts. It's less frowned upon in the administrative courts that I work in for special ed cases, but in the superior courts, you have to be judicious about it. And one of my outside counsels struck somebody once without telling me about it, and he ceased to be an outside counsel. Because then you're like, I was the general counsel of the school district, and then of course my superintendent would go to Rotary and be like, "Why'd you strike Judge so-and-so? They're all What are you talking about? You know that I don't actually go to court for every single case we have."
Wow, that's fascinating. I've heard of jurisdictions that do that, but that's crazy.
And our federal court right now in the Western District of Washington has exactly 2 judges on full-time status, and the other 10 are senior status. So it's like this wheel of like, well, and one clearly waiting. The appointments the announcements were just made of the nominees, and one, we know that the minute somebody's confirmed, one of the 2 sitting judges is going senior status. And so it's like this roulette, like, okay, which one of the 80-year-olds is going to have to hear this? Go. So
that's hilarious.
That is the story of how one strikes state court judges in Washington and administrative law judges before the Office of Administrative Hearings.
Well, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. You know, we're all about educating people here. So
I'm going to go put my exhibit binders together so I don't look like a moron. But yeah,
sounds good.
I don't think I could sell to a federal judge who's working on senior status, Your Honor, can we reschedule this trial so I can stay in Texas after my car prime?
Yeah, I hear you. That's unfortunate. Judges, they're just so unreasonable these days. You know, that's the problem. Totally unreasonable. Bye, Shannon. Okay, guys, Alice has turned into an alien, so we're going to go ahead and say goodbye. But thank you all for stopping by. We will do this again soon. But we'll see you then. Let us know if you're coming to CrimeCon. Bye.
Shopify is a platform built for growth, whether you're just starting out or already running a thriving business. From managing inventory to creating a seamless checkout experience, Shopify is designed to handle it all. And it doesn't stop there. Shopify helps you sell everywhere your customers are, online or in person. It's the ultimate tool for turning big dreams into big wins. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/OPP.
If you're looking to streamline your audio advertising buys and maximize your revenue, look no further than Triton Digital's programmatic audio advertising exchange, A2X. The private exchange consists of only licensed broadcasters and top-tier internet radio publishers, assuring the quality inventory and brand safety you can trust. Visit www.tritondigital.com to learn more.